Prithvi Rajkumar directed movie Naan Rajavaga Pogiren stars Nakul, Chandni and Avni Modi. These are the main characters in the movie. And it's a convoluted story. That's a nice way of saying crazy. Okay, it's absolutely insane. Whoever thought up the story must have, I don't know, had shot himself up with something up his arm or inhaled something, and because you can't come up with a story otherwise. It's a story where, as you go along, you realize that this entire thing doesn't ring true, and that there must be some other reason for whatever is happening. And so, in the end, they go the only way possible, which is to say that it's the same guy and he has a lapse in memory. Now, how many times have we seen movies with amnesia, where somebody conveniently forgets, whatever happened, and then he figures out that he's the same guy. Okay, let me rewind a bit. There's this chap, Nakul, who lives in Himachal Pradesh. He lives in an apple orchard. And there he speaks Tamil with everybody. I don't know why. And he does goofy things like take children through the nature park to watch bisons running amok and other assorted idiocies. And then he runs through shooting ranges. And then army officer has to come out and tell him, shut up, don't walk, what are you, crazy? Then he takes a random civilian who walked into a firing range and makes him scrub his house. I don't know. How did they come up with this story? Anyway, he is told by the same army officer that there is a guy who looks exactly like you back in Chennai, and that I used to know him, and that he had a girlfriend, and they were about to get married. So this guy gets intrigued, which is okay, because if you think somebody tells you there's a guy who looks exactly like you in some other town, you may be tempted to go and see that person. So he takes a train and he heads down to Chennai, and on the way, there's one of the girls whom this army officer was talking about, who was supposed to be the friend of his lookalike, lives in Bhopal. So it's an occasion for us in Madras to see what Bhopal looks like. So this guy gets off in Bhopal, goes and locates this girl, who then they take a boat ride in the middle of a lake. I never knew Bhopal had a lake, so that's one thing good about this movie. I came to know that Bhopal has a lake. Anyway, so they're in this boat which doesn't seem to be going anywhere. It just stands in the middle of the lake and just sometimes you see the rear of it, sometimes the front of it. But this girl also tells him something about another guy who looks like him. So they travel down to Madras and they get involved in the most convoluted, complex story, where it goes into all kinds of areas which you never imagine. It talks about protests, about foreign companies, how they are destroying our crops, about BT cotton, BT brinjal, you name it. Every single thing has been brought into the story, and there's a protest, and the chief of the group that protests is killed, and that's shown in the very beginning. So that man is the one who's been leading all these protests. And the villains in the story, who are the villains in the story? The ones who want to bring in all these genetically modified foods and then ruin our country, in other words. So who is opposing them? Bunch of, I wouldn't say schoolgirls, bunch of women. They don't seem to be anybody else. No political party, no scientists, no nothing. It's just a few people on Elliot's Beach who walking up and down with placards, who are just protesting this and that. And then, so they've got everybody on their side, the goons as usual. They want to kill off the people who are arousing public, inquisitiveness or interest in that. They just don't want anybody to know anything about it. So this entire thing is a plot to kill off anybody who's talking against genetically modified food. So that is how the whole thing started, which resulted in him having to go to Himachal Pradesh. But it's only in the last, 20 minutes. And the last 20 minutes, believe me, felt like 20 hours. It was that long and tedious. So in the last 20 minutes, he realizes that he's the same guy. He realizes that. Until then, he had amnesia, right? Just got cured like that. And then he remembers who he is, and then he remembers that, hey, I'm actually not an apple farmer from Himachal Pradesh. I'm actually a young man and a kickboxer. And this elaborate talk in the about when the movie was being made about how Nakul is going to be a kickboxer. There was just some little scrappy fight in the beginning, but apart from that, there was nothing about kickboxing. Except on the road, he's a thin stripling, he's a slim guy. But he pounds the villains into pieces, he just beats them up in dozens. I don't know how they think up these fight scenes and why. And the thing was, there were people in the theater just getting up and walking out. Of course, they had nasty comments to make, so people are laughing when the fights were on, so which means that it didn't convince anyone. I did read in the newspapers, some major dailies, I won't tell them just to embarrass them, but I don't know, either they were paid. I can't believe anybody writes those kind of reviews about the movie and the direction and the amazing connectivity of the story with what is happening in modern day India. All kinds of far-fetched things. But a terrible movie. I sat in it because I was sitting in the corner and I had to ask all those people to get up, while I walk out, to say, excuse me, all the way out. So I just sat down there till the end. But what a movie, and it's a movie that you should avoid at any cost. I saw it, so let me warn you. Naan Rajavaga Pogiren, I just want to tell him, I'm just going out of this place. But that's what it is. And I don't know what Nakul is all about. He's an over-enthusiastic guy. Half the movie he acts like he's lost about 10% of his thinking capacity. Other places he looks like he's lost about 40% of it. So he was like half moronic. Can I call it moronic? I don't know. Strange kind of. The girls were superb. They acted extremely well considering they're both from North India, or maybe one was from here and one was from there. But they were very good. And even the lip sync was good and they spoke the lines correctly. Otherwise, there were so many characters getting attacked. It looks like all of Chennai, people just kill each other every day. They get up in the morning and you have these goons running around on the road just murdering everybody. Anyway, that's Naan Rajavaga Pogiren. Don't even bother watching it.